Moments of inspiration mixed with time to network, IBJ Media Events has you covered. From industry deep dives to awards celebrating Indiana's top leaders, see what's coming up and reserve your seat at ibj.com/RSVP.
This is Inside Indiana Business Radio on demand for Thursday, October 23rd, 2025. I'm Gary Dick. A Terre Haute-based startup is expanding its production capabilities through a new partnership with Sony DADC. Logo Cup, which makes single and double-walled custom-printed paper cups, has reached a contract manufacturing deal to produce its cups at Sony DADC's Terre Haute facility. Sony will provide end-to-end manufacturing services, including custom printing, color replication, and packaging and distribution. Evansville-based Old National Bancorp is reporting fiscal third-quarter net income of $178.5 million. That's up from $140 million during the same period last year. In its quarterly report, Old National said its earnings included pre-tax charges of $69.3 million related to the company's acquisition of Minnesota-based Bremer Bank, which was completed in May. Additionally, the company announced this week that CEO Jim Ryan has been elected vice chair of the American Bankers Association. Indiana University Health's police chief is 4 paws closer to her goal of adding more therapy canines to the health system's Department of Public Safety. Callie is a 2-year-old Labrador retriever who's on a mission to provide comfort and give employees a moment to smile, says police chief Shannon Trump.
What we will use her for is a lot of if team members or certain units or different people have experienced something traumatic or a big event, we'll try to prioritize those types of things for Callie, but also just getting her out in front of as many people as we can.
From the state's #1 source for Indiana business news, you're listening to Inside Indiana Business Radio. Our Innovate Indiana series is on the move in October. Join us for Innovate Southern Indiana in New Albany, October 1st. Innovate South Bend Elkhart in South Bend, October 14th, and Innovate South Central Indiana in Bloomington, October 24th. The Innovate series is presented by Indiana University and Old National Bank. Each location will feature a powerful afternoon of ideas, innovation, and insight, and what's next for each region. RSVP now at ibj.com/innovate. Officials within the Indiana Senate's Republican caucus signaled Wednesday that President Donald Trump's efforts to redraw state district maps are not yet across the finish line.
A spokesperson for Senate President Pro Tem Roderick Bray told the IBJ on Wednesday that, quote, the votes aren't there for redistricting, end quote. That evaluation comes as the White House has stepped up its pressure campaign on Indiana lawmakers, particularly Republican senators, in the last few weeks. On Friday, the New York Times reported that Trump held a call urging Indiana GOP senators to redraw the state's district maps. The Indiana Capitol Chronicle said Bray participated in last week's call with the White House and called conversations with the vice president on his most recent visit fruitful and productive. Meanwhile, Governor Mike Braun released a statement Wednesday saying he's still hoping to call a special session on redistricting, saying he is having positive conversations with members of the legislature and he is, quote, confident that the majority of Indiana State House Republicans will support efforts to ensure fair representation in Congress for every Hoosier, end quote. Multiple polls released in the last few weeks suggest a majority of Hoosiers are not in favor of redistricting. Alex Brown, Inside Indiana Business Radio.
Michigan City-based Horizon Bancorp is reporting a third-quarter net loss of $222 million compared to net income of $18.2 million during the same period last year. Despite the swing, CEO Thomas Prame says the results were highlighted by the bank's successful balance sheet repositioning, which he said exceeded expectations. A children's clothing brand brought home the top prize this month at The Drive, an annual business pitch competition at Inventrec Technology Park in Kokomo. HKCB Wholesale, a sustainable clothing company owned by Kayla Sager, won $10,000 in seed money in the Shark Tank-style competition, beating out 2 other finalists. This is Gary Dick for Inside Indiana Business Radio on demand. From broadcast to podcast, Inside Indiana Business with Gary Dick is now available anytime on YouTube or in your podcast feed. Subscribe and listen wherever you get your podcast or at ibjpodcast.com.
On the go? So are we. Get the IBJ Media app, your all-in-one news source for Indiana business news. Get breaking news alerts, read every story from IBJ, Inside Indiana Business, and the Indiana Lawyer, and listen to your favorite podcasts all in one place. Big news, small screen. Search IBJ Media and download the app today.